Happy Father's Day. We're about to talk to one tough cop, the best-selling author, having a movie made about his life, Bo Dietl. Happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you very, very much. And I hate to say it, but I can't celebrate because my father's gone. I lost my dad in 1987. I grew up in a neighborhood that everyone knows. It's a neighborhood called Ozone Park, Queens. Right away when you hear Ozone Park, you think of one guy, John Gotti. Yes, I grew up where John Gotti was. Yes, I knew John Gotti as a young boy. Yes, I grew up with these guys that were on the other side of the fence. You got to remember, when you grow up with these guys, you kind of looked at them with brand new cars. They had the best clothes, the Italian knits, the soft leather shoes from Italy. And I kind of looked at them and I said, wow, these guys look cool. And my father used to make me be home at 8 o'clock when I was 14, 15 years old. 9 o'clock, you're in this house. He saved me probably from becoming one of those. And I'll never forget Ralphie Scopo, the father. I used to have broccoli rabe and veal cutlets every Thursday night. I was the only kid that the father would let into the house because I was the only kid that wasn't shooting heroin out of this crew. And I used to be really afraid of my dad. And he had forearms that were huge. He used to slug me pretty good. And he used to beat me into the ground. But, you know, I was a very tough kid. And even when I wrote my book, One Tough Cop, I wrote the foreword there to my dad, thank you, who I only got to know after I became a man, realizing that what he did for me by keeping me straight and responsible kept my whole life straight, where I never could take a quarter from my uncle. He wouldn't, you don't take a penny from nobody. And then that prevailed even when I became a cop. I was never involved in any kind of scandals because I never would take a penny from anybody. And then when I was 17, I graduated high school, and I was the top physical guy in the country of all the teams. We competed at Quantico, Virginia, at the Marine Corps base, and I wanted to be a gym teacher, but my marks weren't good enough. I wanted to go to Springfield College, and I couldn't get in there. I got a scholarship for 10 two-year colleges. One was Corning, New York. I don't even know what the hell it was. And I tell Ralphie Scopo, the father there, and I said, Ralph, I says, you know, I'm not going to go to college. I'm 17. And he says, do you want to get a job? He said, I could get you as a laborer, concrete construction laborer. I said, sure. He said, they make good money. He goes, go meet Sammy the Weasel on 33rd Street in Lexington Avenue. I got a job over there. I go meet him. I'm put to work. I'm making $500 a week. I end up buying a new Corvette. I had taken the cops test when I was 16 as a goof. I didn't even want to be no cop, but I took the test. It was a walk, and they showed you a clock. What time is it? 3 o'clock. I mean, it was this moron's test. So my father really always kept me in line. And then even when I started working, my father made me come home when I was 17 years of age. I couldn't come home after midnight. Otherwise, I'd come home, and last time he beat me up, I was right before my 18th birthday, and I was working construction. I was pretty strong, and he started slugging me, and I never hit him back, and he beat me to the ground. Finally, the next night, I came home, and he went after me again. I grabbed his arm in midair, and I said, Dad, it's over. That's enough. I'd never pick my hands up to my father, never. And I can honestly say he's the only human being that I was ever afraid of. But he kept me straight in so many ways, even when I became a cop. Then finally Ralph Scopo said to me, Bo, you can't come to the club anymore. You know, you're a cop. You don't even know what we do here. He says, you got to understand something. You don't understand what's going on. And I really didn't understand it. I didn't understand about mobsters and all that. All I knew was these guys were like my family. And my respect with them carried on through all my time on the force. I was always known as Bo the Cop. And even a friend of mine's father, who was major in organized crime, Joe Coffey, used to be my sergeant. He said they picked up a wiretap once where Fat Tony Salerno was actually telling the wise guys, you don't ask Bo the Cop for a license plate check. You don't get that cop jammed up in nothing. And I was even being protected that I wouldn't get involved with anything to hurt my job. And I had that respect. But it all goes back to one thing, the respect that my father put into my head growing up. and respect to everybody. You always respect people who are older than you. You never, ever take money from anybody. You don't ask for money, and you work hard. And he pounded that into me, this ethics of working hard. And as a detective, a New York City detective, and as a cop, I always worked hard. And I knew one thing. I try to teach my children. You don't get things easily. It's not like the lottery where you play the lottery and you're going to become rich. It's how you build a foundation of hard work. Because if you build a foundation on baloney and not working hard, you're not going to have much of a foundation. And I always go back to my father, and well, I remember him as being sick because he had the gallbladder exploded in the late 50s. Then he had the heart attacks and the strokes, and he was paralyzed. So I remember him towards the end, and it was a big deal about, watching him and trying to show him, I guess the little guinea didn't turn out so bad, and he was still alive towards the end. I don't know, he was kind of out of it, and you could see a picture up here, and I'll show you this picture up here with Ronald Reagan, and it was in the Oval Office when I was running for United States Congress back in 1986, and I was so proud. I was so proud that finally I was able to say, I guess I did all right. Yeah. So, fathers are very important, and on this Father's Day, I think about them all the time, and I've been very successful in business. I've made well over $100 million since I retired. I also pissed it all away, but the point is that you look upon what that foundation was with your father, who instilled the right properties of my rest of my life. And I try to tell my kids, but the only problem is I have 4 children. I've never picked up my hands to any of my kids. So that additive about if you have abusive parents, you're going to turn out, that's bullshit. I've never touched my kids. I have 2 boys, 2 girls. The girls tell me to go somewhere, and I just look at them, and I got tears in my eyes. How can you talk like that to your father? And want to know something? It's all about one thing. You get one of those, and you get one mother. And today's Father's Day, and that's what we got to think about, what your father did for you all those years. I wouldn't be here without him today. So I want to wish everybody a happy Father's Day.